Welcome back to the Right Side of Grace. I'm Addie.
I'm Rick.
That was so unenthusiastic, Addie.
Yay! I don't know what you want me. I just had a tragic event happen to me. I decided to plant a garden in the house and it just broke, and I'm really upset about it, but it's fine.
All right, we'll just have to get screws and drill it into the...
Well, the bad thing is I used all the seeds, and I have no soil left, so...
I think they sell both those things, though.
Yeah,
Tractor
but
Supply.
I just... Can you, give me, 5 seconds to
You want
be
more?
upset and, not be judged for my upsetness?
I'm not judging you. Are you judging me for are you judging my...
I just think if something is important to you and it gets messed up, it's okay to be upset, and you're, not...
Not what?
You're, being annoying about it. Rare. Anyway, that's just my opinion. Sorry. All right, let's talk about highlights from episode 10.
Yeah, we talked about... didn't we talk about Shador and the draft and...
Yeah, we talked about
a little bit.
Humility and not
Your
having humility.
podcast.
Yes, we did talk about
We did the weird thing at the beginning.
Guys, did you like the intro that I did with it?
I thought it was funny. If you watch the YouTube video, they switch name tags.
Oh, is that what you did?
Uh-huh.
It was funny.
Do you not even watch the YouTube?
I do, but I can't see very well. So if you did that
he doesn't pay attention to detail.
Mm-hmm. You should go back and watch it.
If you do that quick, then
we'll link it above.
Good. I liked it. I thought it was funny. I meant to tell you about that, but I forgot.
I apologize for that.
So yeah, we talked about humility, stuff like that.
Well, lack of with Shador, and then talked about WNBA. The WNBA did actually start playing last week, but it was pre-season.
It's just the preseason.
So it's not really.
It's just
the actual season. I don't know when the actual season starts, but you guys are going to see a game.
Yeah, but not for a while. Still got
July. I
know it's coming up quick though.
Oh, are you going to be able to see it since you got that internship?
Yeah.
You going to make it happen?
Yeah, I can.
Okay, good. All right. So I think we were talking about Survivor. We wanted to kind of update where we're at in Survivor.
Yeah, because who went out? Star went out last week, which I was wrong. I thought they were going to get, I just forgot his name.
Mitch?
No, Rob? Joe. Gosh, why did I forget his name? I thought they were going to vote Joe off.
Who was the other person they voted for, though? Star and who?
Mary. Which I'm a little bit...
Mary's like a free agent.
I'm scared of Mary.
It's always the free agent that kind of ends up...
I just don't... The more I'm watching and the more I'm seeing the Eve girl, I don't like her.
Eva.
I think she's way too aggressive in what she says, and I'm not a fan of her.
Yeah. She's got she's got that autism deal, and so there's a lack of nuance in social game. So she's just very honest. She sat down with the one. Who was she sat down with?
She sat down with Mary and said, I will tell you before I vote you out.
She just makes weird. I just am not a fan of
She
her.
basically told Mary, I'm not going to go to interview you. I can't do that. So I'll tell you when I'm going to vote you out.
Mm-hmm.
I'm definitely not taking you to the end.
She's too cocky.
I don't know if it's cocky. I think it's just...
I think she knows that she's not dumb. I think she's a smart girl.
Yeah.
I think she's confident, and she thinks, I've got control of this game. Me and Joe over here, or whatever his name is. Is that his name?
Yeah, Joe.
I think she thinks her, Joe, Shaheen, and how do you say his name? Shaheen and Kyle have this game, and I just think she's a little too cocky.
So interesting, though. Kyle kind of went against Camille.
I don't think he went against Camille. I think he has loyalty to Joe, and he felt convicted. He was like, I'm not going to go against Joe, but I am also not going to stop you.
Yeah. So he tried some...
He was basically trying to let her take the fall for getting Joe out, and then so Kyle would just be in the green light. He didn't cross paths, he didn't mess up his allies, basically.
He set it up he won the reward challenge.
And he asked weird people to go to the challenge.
And he asked
but did he though?
Yeah, because they didn't even, I felt like they didn't even talk about...
Do you remember though why he asked those specific people?
Yeah, because he was trying to...
He wanted everybody to be mad at Joe.
Oh, that's right. That's right. You're right.
And he wanted to help Camille, like get
Yeah.
people upset with Joe and let Joe kind of take at least an attempt. Like he wasn't going to help her directly, but if he could help her indirectly and move some pieces, that's kind of the way he wanted to approach it.
Yeah.
But then Joe was fine with it. He was like, if I get to build relationships and babysit and keep an eye on them, that's fine with me.
I feel like Joe, he's like him and they're too cocky. Like they think they have this game like all the way and like I don't know, it just kind of
whenever you pair up two powerful people, they always take it apart. Like Joe and Eva are next. One of those two.
Yeah.
So it's either going to be Eva tonight or Joe.
At the end of the at the end of the day, they have to, if they're smart, they're going to be like, okay, like which one of us can decide, like, because they're not going to flip on one another.
Yeah. What does Eva have?
She has that stupid immunity dial, and she has the
safety without power.
The one that Star gave her, that Star could have saved herself.
Yes.
Last week.
Well, that's why I like Star. I thought she was just a.
Yeah.
I thought she was so funny. What? I thought she was so funny, and like I loved her. Well, I was sad to see her go.
The funniest thing was her first time going into the voting booth when she was dancing and she threw the pin.
Yeah, that was funny.
I thought that was...
I liked her a lot. Like, I thought she could have been like a sleeper winner. Like, she could have stayed under the wraps and then it started. But she also, I don't think she had as much like mental game control. Like, she was just there. Like, I don't know how she lasted as long as she did.
Because she was just there.
Like, I also think she was just funny.
Well, I mean, I think she was. I think she knew she was coming to the end of her run. Like, she knew that.
Yeah.
Like, she had
played her shot.
She had one path. Like, she should have played her shot.
I do think she should have played her shot in the dark.
Yeah. I'm not sure why
I don't really like that thing.
The shot in the dark?
Yeah. I mean, I think it's cool, but I don't know. It's not like that interesting. Like, I don't know.
All right. Sorry. I'm getting one of these.
Okay. Anywho, so yeah.
Making sure it wasn't some church member going to hospital.
We get to see, are you on call?
Yes.
Pastor on call.
Yeah.
What is, someone's honking.
Probably one of those large trucks.
Oh gosh. Okay. Sorry. So yeah. Excited to see the episode tonight, see who goes home, see what's going on. Y'all, something is going on outside.
It's probably one of those cars with the train horns in it.
Mm-mm. It's like a semi truck. I can hear it.
You know, they get stuck at this corner.
Oh, do they?
Oh, yeah. Yeah. I mean, this corner is like the most dangerous corner.
It really is dangerous.
You know, we've already had the guy get DUI at the corner.
Yeah, but there's always wrecks.
Jeannie came out the other day, and the car was like basically upside down on its rooftop.
I didn't know that.
It was like it was probably a couple months ago when we were out there. Remember, late one night. You weren't out there with us. The car had flipped upside down.
No, I wasn't here. I remember you guys sending videos.
Yeah. Do you remember which car that was?
It was a convertible, and the guy went around the curve. And apparently his tire blew out. And when he went around the curve, he went up the embankment and flipped his car and then got out. I was home from school one day.
Okay.
So you might not be able to hear it all.
You can't hear her, but
she's saying this like a convertible. Anyway.
Yeah.
So yeah, that's a dangerous road. Back to what we were saying. I guess we'll update next week about whatever happens in Survivor. I'm interested to see who goes out. I think it's going to either be Eva or...
So... It depends on. I think it's going to be Eva and Joe's going to be targeted.
Well, I think Eva.
If they play something smartly, then
Eva's going to play her idol for Joe, and then she's going to play her, but she can't vote. So
unless he's gotten immunity, because he's gotten the last two in a row.
True.
He's got. Well, that's true.
But I do think they're due for an immunity challenge that's more mental than physically tasking.
They are due for that, and probably Camille could win that one.
Y'all, if I'm a hater of Camille. I do not like.
Yeah, I don't particularly.
She's rude. Like
I really like Kyle though. I think Kyle.
I like Kyle. I like. I kind of like Mary. I do like Joe. Like I think Joe's nice. I like Eva. However you say your name. I'm not really enjoying watching her play Survivor right now. Like she's kind of annoying me. But I do not like Camille at all. I think she's annoying. I think thinks she's smart and all this stuff and thinks everyone else is an idiot. And I actually got really mad when she was like, Dave's such an idiot, but like he just figured out her game.
Yeah, I think that if Eva goes home, it's not going to hurt Joe.
Yeah.
If Joe goes home, Eva's done.
For sure, yeah. She'll get picked off in a second.
Like they gotta be wise.
What's his face?
Shaheen.
He's liable to switch. I think he's smart enough to know I'm not out here playing for everybody else. I'm here playing for myself.
He's going to be...
Like, that's the thing. Kyle is a genius because he knows he's playing a game, like a people game, but he also knows, like, I'm here for myself. Like, I'm going to flip on these people, and it doesn't matter. Like, at the end of the day, he's going to have to flip on Camille. At some point, him and Camille's little weird bond.
Yeah. So have you watched a lot of Survivor?
I've watched bits and pieces. I've caught up on this season because we've been talking about it. Yeah. But most of my Survivor comes from you guys.
Okay. Do you remember much? Do you remember Parvati?
Parvati. How do you say her name? The brown, really pretty brown hair girl.
Black Widow. Parvati.
Yeah. I think I remember her.
Anyway, she was from Georgia. She,
Yes.
But she didn't win her first season.
But she has blue eyes, right?
I don't know. I can't remember. But she won her second time playing. But she was really good at subtle, like, suggestions, and she would
Shaheem is good at that.
Well, I think Kyle is better. I think he is, like, playing the chess pieces better and subtly moving people without overtly moving them. He's just very carefully. That's the whole play with Joe, like letting, people start to hate on Joe a little bit, helping Camille out without actually directly doing anything. I think that was very smart. He did a good job with that. So I just think that tonight will be, if there's, she's got the safety without
Wait, how many
power.
people are left? She has to play that 6 minutes with 6 people left.
There are 7 now?
Yeah.
So she has to play it tonight or she loses it.
She has to play it tonight. And so I think what's going to happen.
Oh, wait. Is there a double elimination tonight?
I don't know. I think what's going to happen is she's going to play for Joe. She's going to use her thing. So then it's going to either be Shaheem going home, Mary going home. Kyle and Camille are fine, but they have to. I think Joe will never flip on Shaheem. So I really think.
But he will flip on Shaheem before he flips on Eva.
Well, but Eva and him will be safe. So it doesn't matter.
Yeah, they're one unit, but they got to break that up.
Which
so I think that's kind
I'm going to be really honest. I think if you're a smart Survivor player, I do not think you should go in and play the way they're playing.
Who? Joe and Eva?
Yes. I think the way Kyle and Camille are doing really smart. If they would have been like, keep that alliance a secret, it would have been 10 times smarter. Yeah. But because they've made it so public and now everyone knows they're like BFFs and they're never in that's his girl, which I think it's a little weird. But sometimes it their relationship weirds me out.
I see.
I'm it's a little too much. Guys, come on now.
I think though that it outed them when she had that panic attack.
Yes.
Yeah. And at that point he had to do what he had to do. So I get that. But then
they could have backed off of it a little bit or kind of maybe
just
had
been
a fake spat.
But they're no, she's my girl or he's my guy. And I'm just y'all are being stupid. That's why I'm getting annoyed with them right now.
I agree with that. I think they're foolish in being so tight. I think Kyle and Camille are very smart.
Even though I hate Camille.
I don't like Camille. I really like Kyle. I hope Kyle wins.
Yes, I do
And if Kyle and Camille go to the end together, nobody's going to vote for Camille. I mean, she'll get maybe one vote.
Well, if America could vote, I think Kyle would win because they can just see his gameplay. But when you have the jury, half those people love Camille probably.
I think they like Kyle more than her.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You're probably right.
Can we talk about Mitch's story from last week?
His mailman story?
Yes.
Well, I just love Mitch. I think he's really funny. I do think he's stupid though too.
What do you mean stupid?
He's just
he could have.
He should have made, but I will say, he didn't trust Star.
That was his problem. He couldn't trust Star to make
and that's move. Okay. And that makes sense.
Yeah.
But I do think he should have made a move. They should have made a move last week and gotten Joe out. They should have. But they don't know about there's all these things. I try and I'm okay, I know about all these immunity idols. I can't speak. But they don't know.
Right. They don't know.
And they don't see how all the conversations
well, they all know that Eva has an immunity idol. They don't know
she has
except for Shaheen.
Shaheen,
Joe, and Kyle all know.
The strong 6.
Right.
4.
Now it's 4. And then
so that means
we
Camille
should really talk about is Dave's horrifying. Is it Dave? David.
Yes, Dave.
David's demise.
Horrifying look during the entire thing. It was so embarrassing. I was like getting the secondhand embarrassment the whole time, and like he would not stop making that ugly face.
He was staring him down. He was what we call a mean mugging. He was mean mugging.
No, Mom kept calling him a name, but now I can't remember who it is. I really wish I could remember.
Anyway,
but
he was giving him the death stare.
Did it to himself.
He did. But I will say he was smart.
Yeah, he figured out Kyle and Camille.
And that's why
and then that's when Camille was like, "Oh, he's such
an idiot."
He wasn't an idiot. He's just trying to mess up her plans.
And then she was like retaliating. Anyway.
Yeah. But what about Mitch's story? Like he was like a mailman.
He was delivering. I think he said at the high school or near the high school that he was going to be working at, and then he heard a barking, and so he runs away, runs into a tree, falls over.
He was
like
fully
reenacting this.
You guys have to watch it and listen to him tell it because the way he tells it's so funny. And he's like army crawling. I will say,
like literally on the beach, he's army crawling.
If anyone's
the funniest part is
okay, sorry, I thought you were talking about something else.
He says, and he figured out the entire time the dog was on a leash.
It was on a chain. So Mitch has a speech impediment, and he really is. He has a hard time talking, but he doesn't care. So the last episode, Star gets out. She's like the funniest girl, I think. She goes, "No disrespect to Mitch, but he did not stutter." And it was so funny. Yeah, no, he told Star, he said, "You need to play your shot in the dark." And so Star was explaining that to Jeff, and she called him Uncle JP. Yeah, she was calling him Uncle JP or something. She was like, "And I'm going to be real with y'all. And no disrespect to Mitchell, but he did not stutter."
He said, "You need to play."
And it was the funniest thing because he literally has a stuttering problem. Yeah. Anyway, and then Mitch, sorry, I keep calling him Mitchell, but he was sitting there and he was like, he's so funny. I think he's funny. Anyway, Sorry, we've talked a lot about Survivor, but it is really good. You should watch.
Yeah, it's funny. It's fun to watch. Well, did you watch any of the pre-season stuff with WNBA?
Not really. I don't really care. WNBA, I'm just kidding. I do care, but I did see Caitlin was sitting out in her one game, but then she ended up playing in the game that was in Iowa. So
yeah, she went back to college. I think she's going to play that game.
She did well too.
Going back to college, that's kind of like college is a unique time in your life. So whenever you go back to that kind of thing, you feel. I mean, even now when I go back to Liberty, I just have fond memories of being there.
He likes to give us the memory lane tour.
Yeah, I have fond memories. I went to a lot of colleges, but I have fond memories at West Georgia, fond memories at Middle Georgia, fond memories at Liberty. So it was all good. I mean, not all good, but there were some good memories at each one of those places because it's a unique time in your life. And that's why I think it's important to make deep connections while you're in college, and now that's sort of like we talked about it when we did the second episode, and we talked about being at the table, or the third episode, being around our dining room table is, at Liberty. That was a big part of my life and connecting with a family. And it was through church. I went to church. They went to the same church, and we connected they saw college kids at church and say, "Hey, you're a college kid. You probably have no money," which was true. "And why don't you come to our house and eat dinner? We can provide some food for you." So that was a big deal. And I really appreciated that. So, I think it's important to find a good place and a good church to go to college.
Yeah.
I mean, in college, to go to church.
Yeah.
So.
And we've talked about that before, just making sure that you're getting plugged in and it's important.
What would be the most important thing to look for? Or what are some helpful things, do you think? Maybe one or two.
I don't know. I feel like we talked about this the couple episodes ago, but just I obviously making sure that the preaching is good and that it's not some heretical pastor up there or I don't know, something crazy. But I think just the community and the people that are there, and if you can Nick talked about it tonight actually during Wednesday night church, but he was just saying a lot of times people will pull into, there's some statistic or something, when you pull into the church, it's 6 minutes to win if that person decides if they're going to come back to church or not. So like by the time they get into 6 minutes, and Nick was like, made this joke. He was like, takes me 3 minutes to get out of the car. And it was really funny. It was really funny. But then he was just saying like how, it's people a lot of times like your first impression is like a big deal and it can make or break it for you. But I think like church is something that you have to continue to try. And it's like, yes, it's as much as the church to come to you and be like, oh, like what's your name? Like, blah, blah. But I also think you have to give the effort into going and putting yourself out there and meeting people and talking and not just, going and sitting in the back and not like connecting with anybody. So I think that's what's important is just like going and connecting. And if you can't, like, you feel like you've tried and you've prayed about it and you feel like you can't connect, then I think maybe that's okay to try something different.
Yeah.
And
yeah, I think so.
I think not being closed-minded too.
But genuinely trying.
Oh yeah, like I'm not saying going in there and
yeah.
like somebody doesn't say hey to you or they don't smile at you.
Well, I think
because people take a long time. Like friendships like build over time. Like you don't when you first meet somebody, you might like be like, oh, like I could see being friends with them, but like you're not friends with them until you like have spent numerous amount of times with them, and then you can finally like kind of get and see their personality and see how they act. And that's kind of how church is too. Like you have to just continue to go and see how it is and see if like you can connect with anybody and like get in touch with the pastors. I feel like the people that come to Hickory Grove, like the college students, always like do such a good job to like, because I try and think, I'm like, okay, if this was me, like, would I go and seek out the college pastor and then like reach out to him and see like how we can meet up? Like, I feel like the guys always go to you and they're like, let's get breakfast or let's get lunch or something. And I just am like, wow, that's a good thing to do, I think. Like, go to a church if you're in college or a young adult or whatever it is and like find a pastor and just say, hey, like I'm so-and-so, I just moved here or I'm looking for somewhere to get plugged into. Is there like, do you guys have a Sunday school? Like, is there any way? Because I feel like all pastors want to talk and like you, especially you make time to like meet with people and hear like their stories. And I don't know, I feel like that's probably.
Yeah. Yeah, I think that's a good way. I think that's a helpful way. I've heard people over time, over the years I've been doing this, come in like nobody in that church talked to me, but they come in late or they come in and they sit down.
They sneak in.
They sit in the back or the corner and they just hold their eyes down and try not to make. Sometimes you can be uninviting without speaking to anybody yourself. Like you can just like this guy looks like he's wanting to be alone, or this girl looks like they just don't want anybody to talk to them. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
No,
I know. I almost said something really, really bad. I'm not going to say because it would be bad, and now I'd have to cut it out.
Yeah, I think that people do this to themselves sometimes. Now, sometimes churches are just built with people who already have relationships. It's hard for them to break out. They'll go and say, hey, how are you doing? My name is so-and-so. And then immediately turn around and go back to their circle.
Yeah.
So I think you gotta be careful doing that.
I said I do that sometimes. I think it's important to know that churches are not perfect because they're full of sinners.
Right.
And so when you're going to a church and you feel like you had a moment where people were rude to you or something happened, like you just have to know, okay, like let me think about this if I was in that situation. Like, how do I need to like extend grace to them? Because we don't know. It's just like watching Survivor, honestly. Like we see all perspectives. And so like I'm seeing these people have all these conversations and then I'm looking at the guy and I'm like, why is he being so stupid? Like just do this. But it's like, they don't see everything.
Yeah,
so it's kind of like when you're going to church, like knowing that, okay, I'm not seeing their whole life in this one Sunday morning. Like I'm seeing a part of them. And like, I do think first impressions are really, really important, but also some people just don't. That's just, I don't know. I think you have to give it a good effort and not just quit after one time and have like, I hate this like thing that I feel like everyone says, but like the church, what is it? Like church hurt or whatever that is. Like that kind of stuff kind of bothers me because I think it's like, well, the church didn't hurt you. It's the people that probably inside the church. But like, how were you acting in that situation? And like sometimes it's fully warranted. Like people do get their feelings hurt. And like sometimes there's churches that are bad and maybe you shouldn't be there. But I think that a lot of times you have to look at yourself and be like, where can I improve? And like, how can I be more welcoming as well? And even in reverse, like for me, like someone that has gone Hickory Grove for so long, like when new people come in, like how can I improve my, like being nice to people or just like being welcoming, talking to them and actually like having a conversation with them and not just being like, hey, I'm Addie, nice to meet you, and walking away.
I really think that place, like softball, like so when we have another,
that's when you can connect.
Place, just to invite them to where it's a little bit more casual. Hey, we do this as a church group. This is another thing that we do. We'd love for you to be there. And it's just more casual and laid back, and people can get in there. And sometimes you don't have to be in a direct conversation to be in the conversation.
Yeah. And I do think if you're a church or like, let's say like you're a youth leader and you're listening to this podcast, I don't know if you are, but I think it's so important to do things outside of church, and it doesn't have to be genuinely just surrounded by like a Bible study. Like, I think we have like the college juniors and naturally like gospel conversations will come up, or like we do the hot seat now. But like, I think a lot of times we think, oh, well, since we're a church, everything has to be like, we need to have a Bible study or we can't meet. But I think it's important to know, like, no, like you can just hang out. Like we can just be friends and we can just get together and like have a bonfire. And it doesn't have to be like, I need to read you the entire chapter of Deuteronomy. Like it's not that big of a deal. Like I just think if you're surrounded by Christians and you guys are all, striving for the same goal, a lot of times those conversations just come up naturally because you're curious. So I think it's important to like have those events because you do connect so much deeper with people on that level than just sitting in Sunday school with them on Sunday mornings.
I think they're like, so there's a book called Gospel Fluency, and it's about basically making a culture where your conversations include the gospel in them, because that's that's the culture in which you've created. And I think that's my goal, and Jeannie and I's goal when we first started this is like, I don't want to force feed somebody the Bible. Right. I mean, now there's times for that. I mean, we have structured time for Bible study. Structured time on Sunday mornings. There's structured times we have like throughout the years.
We never study the Bible. No, I'm just kidding.
Yeah. Throughout the years, we have Bible study time. Like in the summers, we read Pilgrim's Progress last year. We've done the.
Oh my gosh, I forgot we did that.
We've done theological studies on Wednesday mornings at the coffee shop. There's some intentional times where we have those, and that's intended for.
And they advertise it that way.
And it's advertised that way, and that's what we do. But then there's, just the hangout times, which are built for community. Mm-hmm. But that community is still centered around the gospel. And I want it to be a natural, conversation that we can have because it's organic and it's who we are.
And it's not forced, and it's way more easy to just sit and understand. And I think that is really important. So if you're a college student, I think looking for a community that does that and like has extra events, but they're also like, they're not just like some like crazy event, but they're also like spiritually grounded, but that doesn't mean they're they're spiritual because the people there care about it. And I think that's important. Like, I mean, even our softball team, we'll play this summer, but that softball team played in the next fall, and then they've played throughout. Yeah, and even that, they like continued to do a Bible study at the end of it. Yeah. Like, and this is a public league that no one else does the Bible study. Yeah. And like, they still have it, and
it's part of the culture of the team. It's built in.
Yeah. So it's like, you just have to be open and know that it's probably not going to be like you're going to meet your best friends the first week you're there. Like, it's going to take time.
That's why I think Deuteronomy 6, where it talks about.
Do you like how I said Deuteronomy?
Yeah. You said Deuteronomy.
The chapter of Deuteronomy.
Only the chapter, not the book or whatever.
So, but I think Deuteronomy 6 is like, as you walk by the way, as you lay down, as you go about the day, as you go about your life, these things are taught. They're all about your conversation. You lay them before your children, but it's not just your children. This is how my life should be with my friendships. And, that's why, if you have this culture, you can bring lost people into this.
Right.
And it's not a lecture of Bible study. Yeah. It is like
You're just trying to be friends with them.
They're catching.
Yeah.
You know, it's not always taught, it's caught sometimes. And I'm not talking about, you know, we got friendship evangelism, but that is kind of the situation that's going on.
You're just, if you're like friends with believer or unbelievers and you bring them around believers, they might be like, some of them might be like, oh, these people are so weird. But then some of them might just be like, oh, like, I mean, they're just like.
That's part of the job.
Yeah.
As a Christian.
And it's just like, oh, well, they hang out just like me and my friends hang out, just minus like some other things.
Mm-hmm.
But like, they're normal and they're nice and they're cool. And like, they don't, I just think, yeah.
It's without all the embarrassing stories about, man, I can't remember what happened.
Yeah, there's no alcohol, but like, at least we have soda. If you drink soda. I don't know. I just think like it is so important if you're friends with unbelievers to invite them to church too.
Yeah, or to be consistent. Don't be that. If you're friends with an unbeliever, don't be the believer that, okay,
don't act
I'm going to change
way.
my behavior
right.
so that they accept my lifestyle.
Yes.
I'm just a believer who likes your personality. I want to be your friend. I want to be a genuine friend to you.
Yeah, I think you should never turn away a friend just because they don't have the same view as you. But as long as you are strong in like your walk with the Lord and you are not like wavering and that friendship is not causing you to sin, I think like it's so important to befriend those people and invite them to church and invite them around your friends and don't be ashamed that you're a Christian. And if they ask you, be like, yeah, I'm a believer. And like, if they think that's weird, then maybe they're not going to want to be your friend and that's okay.
Yeah.
But I think like having those relationships is so important because one, it helps those people, but also it helps you because it makes you grow deeper with your walk with the Lord to be like, I know like what I believe is right. And like, I'm not going to partake in these things just because I want to look cool in front of this girl or this guy.
Yeah. Well, I mean, I've been on both sides of that whole situation, you know.
And it was like so helpful for you when you were.
Yeah. Well, here's the thing. Like when I was in school, there were a lot of Christians around who were trying to be godly, but when I think they just avoided me, you know, can't hang out with a non-believer. That guy's going to ruin my life, and so I'm not going to talk to him.
Yeah.
Especially about godly things. That's, you know, so nobody really did that except for, you know, basically one guy.
Yeah.
You know, Jared, who was very consistent, which was, you know, for me, you know, if you remember my testimony, it was, I kind of equated Christianity to being a wimp, you know, like you're weak. But when I met Jared Everson, he was like, not weak, very strong, great football player. I mean, he was an All-American at Liberty University. But I was like, this is the first like real dude that is serious about Christianity. So it just kind of blew my mind. But he never wavered from that. You know, and Gerald Malloy was a believer, and he was younger than me, and you know, like small, or you know. He's kind of like in between Gavin and Miles.
Okay.
Like, you know, not quite as tall and skinny as Gavin and not as muscular as Miles. Kind of in between that, you know, and he sang a lot, so all the girls liked him. But he was a Christian. Like, he was a genuine Christian.
Yeah.
But
I think it's so important because they only have like, well, not, they could have believing friends, but I feel like a lot of them have a lot of unbelieving friends.
Yeah.
But when you have that one believing friend, it's like, oh, like I really like her, but she's also a Christian. Yeah. And like, why, like, I don't know. I think it's so important because it's
there's depth to that person and they're interesting. And if they're at least similar to you.
Yes.
You know.
That's the thing. Cause it's like everyone has this picture of Christians being weird, like by the book, can't do anything wrong, goody two shoes, like have never said anything bad, have never done anything bad in their lives. But it's like, no, like once you get to know like what Christians are, like we're all the same. Like we're all the same, but we just have different goals and we believe different things. But that's what I think is so important for that unbelieving person to see, like, okay, like I can hang out with Addie and I really enjoy being around her and being her friend, but she's also a Christian. And like, we might believe differently, but she doesn't judge me or she's not forcing her Christianity on me. But then that could like spike them into curiosity to be like, oh, like, why is she like the way she is? And why does she believe the things that she believes? And then if you bring her or him around those people that you're friends with and they're all solid believers, it's just going to better like grow them.
Yeah.
So that's why I think it's important to just like reach or not avoid the unbeliever, but.
Yeah. Now, I got a question on that note. Should you date an unbeliever?
Oh, negative. No. That is one. No.
Why is that different?
So I will say they do, like, I feel like people always compare and they'll be like, oh, you're supposed to be equally yoked in your relationships, blah, blah, blah. But I think with a friendship, it is much easier. Well, there's a difference. Friendship and relationships is way more intimate, obviously.
Yes.
Friendships are more, not necessarily surface level, because you get to know each other and you're more on a deeper level. But I will say, compared to a boyfriend and girlfriend dating relationship, they are more surface level in that. Like when you're dating as a Christian, this is why I genuinely think you can't date an unbeliever, because I think when you're dating as a Christian, you're dating for marriage. Like you're not just dating to like hang out and, you know, go eat sometimes with them and just have a good time. Like you're dating because you're intending yourself to marry them one day. And so I think that's why it's super important as a Christian to make sure you're not just like, I'm not saying don't go on dates. That's not what I'm saying. But like when you're.
Wait, hold on a second. Don't go on dates with who? Like you can go on a date.
Like if a guy asks you or a girl asks you out.
With a non-believer?
No, I'm saying a believer. Like if like you're just trying to get to know one another.
Sure.
But like, I think it's so important that, because this is kind of, I don't know. My mom has always said this, like marriage is the most important decision
100%.
of your life.
Yes.
Because you're going to be with that person for the rest of your life. So
obviously your mother made a good decision.
Right. Okay. So when you're deciding on who you want to marry, like it's so important to know, like, and I always think about it as if I died one day and I had 3 kids and I left them with my husband, would he raise my kids the way that I would want them to be raised still? And so when I am thinking about an unbeliever, I'd be like, no.
Right.
Because then when I'm dead, what are they going to do? Not go to church, probably play sports on Sunday, just do things that I wouldn't want them to do. And so I think it's so important that, and it's just what God has called us to do, like we're not supposed to, we're not supposed to. I don't know. Like, I just think it's.
Yeah, I think it's clear in the scriptures. If our goal is to, what's your goal in dating? Your goal should be, like you said, to find a mate.
Right.
Like,
I also think,
like Brother Mike used to say, every date is a potential mate.
Yeah, it is.
And it's true because, I'm just going to go on this date. Well, then it could be, if it's a non-believer, that could progress into something that you shouldn't be involved with. So it's very good and wise to date somebody who's an actual believer.
Right.
And that if something progresses, it's okay.
And you can say more about this because I feel like you probably know more. But I think a lot of times girls and guys will be in this headspace that they can save their suitor. Like they can like be a savior almost. Like, oh, like don't worry. Like I know they're not a Christian now, but one day they will be because I'm with them. And I feel like because just being in the youth ministry or just working with like young adults for so long, 9 times out of 10, that person is drawn further away from their faith than closer with the Lord.
Yeah.
So I also think missionary dating is ridiculous and not a thing, and you shouldn't do that.
Yeah, I think that's dangerous. I think I've seen it happen in all the years of ministry, that I've been doing since I was 20, and I'm 50, so 30 years of ministry I've been involved with. I've seen it work one time.
Yeah, and I will say too, like I'm not saying, I think a lot of times a lot of girls. Well, I'm speaking from the girl perspective. I feel like girls will be like, well, and this is even me, like, he's not, like, I feel like I'm more spiritually mature or whatever it is. And I feel like that is different. Like, if they might not be like as spiritually wise, but you are for sure that they are at least like, they're saved and they have the want to grow. I don't think you're in a bad spot.
Right, yeah. Like they don't have to be.
I think
the problem that some Christian girls have is they want a finished product.
Right.
And you can't have a finished
And
product.
when you're young.
At 20 years old.
Yeah, when you're young.
I'm not a finished product at 50.
Right. And I think a lot of times girls are so scared because they're like, oh, well, he has to lead me spiritually, which is true.
Yes.
But he can get there.
Yeah.
And like, you have to have faith that, and if you truly love that person and you like see a future with them and you see a relationship with them, then like, you have to understand like, okay, well, they can get to the point where they're supposed to be. And like, the Lord is going to work that out. But I think you have to know for 1,000% they are a believer. And like, if they're not and you don't think they are, then you need to cut it loose. I'm serious, because it's only gonna hurt you, because the deeper
it's gonna get deeper.
The deeper you get with that person and the longer you're dating them, you're just gonna end up hurting one another worse, because then you're gonna be, when you're my age and Allie's age, we're in our 20s, like we could get married at any time. I mean, not really, because sorry. Neither of us are in relationships, so like we could get married at any time. But like,
you never know.
You don't know. But I'm saying like, you're not dating, like we're not in high school. Like we're not just dating to have fun. Like you're dating to, you literally could get married. So that's why I think it's super important to make sure like that person is a Christian. And
I don't even think dating in high school is you should date for fun or silly. Because this is my opinion.
No, I agree. I think that's a
all you're doing when you do this is you're practicing breaking up.
Right.
Ugh.
You're practicing
divorce. Heartbreak.
Well, you're practicing divorce. So like, I mean, it's okay for me like if you're 15, like, are you really even ready for even
here's the
serious relationship?
You have to remember,
I understand.
Brains are not formed until they're 25.
And I think there is a lot of like high school sweethearts. So I'm like not out here trying to hate, because I'm like, you know what? There's people that date all the way through high school and it works out.
Yeah.
But in that case, I think it's different, because I almost feel like they know. They're like, oh, I'm going to be with this person for the rest of my life.
Yeah. Well, I mean, I'm not opposed to that, but like, there needs to be, what's your intentions here? And if you start dating at 15 and 12 years later, you get married, the potential for mistakes is extremely large.
Well,
I mean, I think you got to be very careful when you date for so long. And there's so many people that are scared to like, well, I have to finish college. And I don't know if that's the best idea. Why not struggle together? If you know this is the one, get married.
I think our generation is a lot about money. And so they're like, how can we afford, and it's expensive to live.
Yeah, but if you're having two people in the same place, it's a lot cheaper than being separated and dating.
But it's just trying to find the place to live. That is a little bit taxing.
Yeah, but what I'm saying is there's a lot, like these people that they're separate, one of them's living in an apartment anyway.
Oh, okay.
Why not?
But what if
both of you live in the same apartment?
What if they were both living with their parents?
Well, I've seen that happen. I've seen people get married and live in the basement.
I mean,
I don't know that that's the best option.
No, that's not to me.
But what I'm saying is, so, like, okay, we went to Mary and David Gentry's house.
Mm-hmm.
They got married when she was in medical school. They had zero money. They were living off student loans.
I mean, I think there's definitely a way to do it. I don't judge people for waiting. I don't.
I just think, I'm not mad at them for waiting. I'm just saying, let's consider why. Is it just money? Because if money is the issue, I think that's sinful.
Really?
Yeah.
Oh.
Well, because like what's your security in? Is your security in money or security in the Lord?
Having like some slight reality of just like, if they can't even afford an apartment.
Well, here's the thing. I think the Western society has ruined a lot of people, because here's what is the standard of living? I have to have a house that's 1,500 square feet.
Well, no, but like even just a 1-bedroom apartment is like $2,000 in Charlotte.
It depends. Depends on where you're at. There's houses there's houses for rent that are $600 a month. There's other, you can find.
Yeah, you know what? You're right.
I mean, you can find what you want.
If you want to make it work, you'll make it work.
You can find what you want.
But I do think a lot of people are so apprehensive because of just money.
Right.
Which is, I mean,
there's nothing wrong with having a plan.
I do not know.
There's nothing wrong with having a plan and working hard for that. But I think if you can make money a god over the whole situation. Yeah. So I think you gotta be careful.
Yeah.
So,
I would agree. That's good stuff, though.
I
So
have strong opinions.
if you're having takeaways, don't date an unbeliever.
Right.
Be friends with unbelievers.
Yeah.
And don't only give church one chance.
Yeah.
Well, give a church one chance. You should, put effort in.
You have to
and
put
you
yourself out
got to
there.
reach out. Yeah. And I feel like people do that.
Yeah.
At least at Hickory Grove, I feel like people do a really good job of that.
I think so.
Like the kids that come from Charlotte, I'm like, they got some guts coming up to you and being like, hey, I'm so-and-so.
Yeah.
Nice.
Shout out to Grace.
Yeah, for real.
Yeah. Grace.
Yeah. So that's good though.
All right. I think that's about all we got, isn't it?
Did you want to talk about your golf tournament?
Oh, I did win.
You win the straightest drive.
Well, I won.
You won the straightest mail.
Not only did I win the straightest drive, and I have a picture, Allie, that I can send you.
You didn't even laugh.
Of how close it was to the line.
Let's see it.
Look
at it right now. It's on the screen right now.
All right, well, I'll send it to you. So it's, they draw this line straight down the fairway, and then you have to hit the ball, and whoever's the farthest and straightest. So somebody could be farther than you, but if they're not
But if you're on that line.
Yeah, you can.
What hole was it?
17.
Okay.
17. So that was the next to last hole.
Mm-hmm.
And I had a pretty good drive out there. It was towards the end of the line, and it was.
So what did you win?
That far off. I'll show it to you. You'll see it.
What'd you win?
I won $50 to Hawthorns. I guess I got to go all the way to Mallard Creek.
Well, we don't no longer have a Hawthorns.
And I heard that Hawthorns is not coming back to Harrisburg.
I called it. Yeah. I said when they closed, there was no way they were turning.
They're not coming back. I got the word from Blair.
I knew it.
She told me today.
Mm-hmm.
So I saw her at the hospital.
Did you like Rocky River?
Yes.
The coffee shop?
I think Rocky River was a better course than Pie Lake. Sorry. For the golf tournament, and I think you'll make
Nicholas Roberts
we make more money.
That was not
at
true.
Rocky River.
I like Pine Lake better.
They
Nicholas.
don't charge us as much for food. Now I don't know if
I don't know if you can hear.
I don't know if the golf is the same.
Talking.
It might be a little bit more.
Well, we also were able to have more guys
Nicholas
out there.
Nicholas is retired from Pine Lake, by the way.
What?
Yeah. He resigned.
Oh wait, yeah. Wait.
He's getting a big boy job. He's going to be.
Why I had that reaction
as
if I didn't know he was working. He starts his job in May.
Yeah.
I'm sorry, just like so shocking. I don't know why I thought he was going to work the rest of his life.
But I love the golf tournament. And we raise a lot of money doing that.
Mm-hmm.
But I think if we want to do something for the redneck boy, skeet shooting.
Who's to say that we can't do skeet shooting in the fall, golf tournament in the spring?
I'm for it. I'm for
Really? Good idea.
It was this place in Anson County. I don't know the name of it. Your dad knows the name because I said it. He told me the name immediately. But you give it, you get a golf cart, and it's a 4-person golf cart.
Carly was just telling me about this the other day.
They got a gun rack in the middle. You put your guns in it.
4 Branches, Hyatt Farms, DeWitt's.
It's not
None
Hyatt.
of those.
It's not Hyatt. It might be 4.
Wait.
It might be 4
Carly
Branches.
was literally just talking about this the other day.
In Polkton?
Maybe.
She said that it's like a golf course, but it's a range.
Yeah, you go 15 stations.
Yes.
And you drive and you shoot 100 rounds.
I actually really want to do this.
And let's do it.
Because
we should do it, and we'll do a video of her.
4 Branches.
Yeah, 4 Branches.
Mm-hmm.
So it was real fun. And they have a flurry, which is it's a
like McDonald's,
a flurry stand. So it's got all these there's probably 10 places to shoot on this huge tower, and they shoot skeet everywhere. And it's just for 5 minutes, it's just shooting, and you got you and 4 other people are just shooting as much as you can, and that adds to your score.
See,
and
that's
whoever hits
fun
the most clays at the end, instead of getting the lowest score in golf, it's the highest clays hit wins. And they raised.
I'd win that in golf too.
This was for a missions group. They go to Africa, and I think it's called SAVE. That's an acronym. First, I can't remember.
S for
I can't remember what
salvation.
I can't remember what it was. But the point is, they raised $12,000.
Admiration.
We didn't even really do anything.
V
we have no idea. She is being
velocity.
Silly. V is for what?
E for.
Wait, go back to V. What did you say V was for?
Velocity.
Oh, velocity.
And then E
I
was
thought she
economy.
Said philosophy. I was like, that's spelled with a PH.
And then I forgot what I said for.
Was for salvation.
A was for admiration.
Yeah. Anyway, that's what I think.
All right, Cynthia.
I would love to do some skeet shooting.
That's a good idea. I like it.
Do you want to be the Skeet chair like Dr. Chevron is for the golf
I would
tournament?
100% be
Dad.
the Skeet
Cynthia, we'll call you up tomorrow.
You can wear an outfit. Like a suit and tie.
Huh?
All camo.
I'd be a camo suit.
I have a better idea. Ron King can pick out your outfit.
No.
Okay.
Ron King is not allowed to pick up.
Oh no, our computer died.
He's dead. That's all I got.
That's a good idea.
We'll have to talk about something else next week. Maybe we'll have the Skeet shoot planned.
Yeah.
I'm just kidding. All right, that's all I got.
That's all I got too. So are we teasing next week? No? What do we got?
Girl, we played this episode 5 minutes before we started. We ain't got no idea what we're doing next week.
Next week, we'll find
All right.
out. We find out.
Bye.